I'm going to be working on a story for the September fashion issue of Fet Lifestyle magazine, and I thought it would be really interesting to highlight a woman who. Oh, I know you've had your business prior to the pandemic, but you really, opened in a new location right as everything was kicking off. And, in my observation, looks like you have navigated this last year and a half amazingly. And I'm sure that it was not as wonderful as it seemed. So I just would love to hear a little bit of kind of behind the scenes of what the last year and a half has been like for you, and what folks can do going forward to support business owners such as yourself.
Okay, sure. Well, first, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I think it's really important for people to hear from entrepreneurs because I don't think the average person has any idea what goes into running a business day to day, especially during a pandemic. I think people think it's a lot easier than it is because, you go into the store, you don't see all the chaos and the, minutia that goes into doing this stuff.
Right.
So we, as you said, I started Margaux Max in 2014 at my dining room table with zero money, zero capital, just a Facebook page and one pair of earrings, really. And we moved from Grosse Pointe Park to Ferndale 5 years ago.
And that was the location on Livernois, is that correct?
That was the location on Livernois.
Okay.
We were on Livernois for 4 years. In a little house, a little 750 square foot space that was a home, and it was rezoned and converted for to be a commercial space.
Sure.
And that was phenomenal, but we were very much a destination shop. People didn't know we were there. They didn't know we were there. But we did a lot to drive traffic to the store and all of that. And then the space on 9 Mile became available, and I was elated. A much larger space, but with a much larger space comes much larger bill.
Can I ask you something? Not to interrupt, but I'm curious. Did the folks from Boston Tea Room reach out to you specifically to let you know that space was opening up, or how did that all come about that you found out that space was opening up?
Oh, that's a great question. So, the building on Livernois that we were in went up for sale, and I started looking for a space.
Okay.
I initially was going to move down the street to a space at 624 Livernois. I was going to stay on Livernois, and we had started building out the suite, but it just didn't work out.
Okay.
And so I decided to stay where I was. I happen to be friends with Heather Lee Navarra, who owns the Boston Tea Room.
Yep.
And I saw a Facebook post that she put up in a group. She and I are in a group for women entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And so she posted in the group pictures of her new space. I hadn't heard anything about it. She was kind of moving in, which is what I recommend, kind of moving in silence. And she posted a picture. Hey, this is my new space, and we're painting. And I was like, wait a minute, what? They're moving? Because I had no idea.
Right.
And she said, oh yeah, we've moved into this new. I've leased a space in this new building. Da da da. And I said, well, what's going to happen with your old space? And at the time, Red Hook was considering expanding.
Right.
But it fell through.
Okay.
So she said, well, you should come and look at the space. And I said, no, because it's much larger. I'm sure it's much more expensive. Much more than I'm used to paying. And
were you looking to stay in a space about the same size as because I know you had to move because the building was going up for sale. So if you had been able to choose, did you want to just kind of stay in the same space, or were you thinking, hey, we need to expand?
Well, I definitely wanted to expand.
Okay.
Because the space we were looking at moving into on Livernois, if that had worked out, was going to, and I think that was about 2,000 square feet, and we were in 750 square feet. So I was definitely going to more than double my space.
Okay.
So we were definitely looking to expand our footprint, but because I had a storage unit, because I just didn't, 750 square feet is a lot.
Sure.
I mean, I had a lot more stuff than 750 square feet could accommodate.
Right. Okay.
And so, getting rid of the storage unit, the expense of the storage unit, the hassle of running over there and all of that jazz, I was definitely looking to do that. I wanted, to have everything at my fingertips.
Sure.
But I could not, I knew that was a great space. The space that we're in now, I knew that it was a great location and all of that, but I also was very apprehensive about taking on that kind of overhead.
Mm-hmm.
Because the space that we were in on Livernois, the way that the space was set up, because it was a house, we were in the house, and then there was a space behind us, which was a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who ran the gym, his parents owned the space. And so the way that it was set up, they never separated the electrical. So I didn't pay water. I didn't pay any utilities or anything. I just paid rent.
Sure.
She had a company that came out and did snow removal and mowed the lawn and all of that. So it was really kind of a sweet deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew moving to any other retail space, unless I like the other space I was looking at, it was a suite. So I would still have the snow removal and lawn and all of that, and some utility stuff. It would be similar.
Right.
But I knew that going into any freestanding store, freestanding retail space, my overhead was going to expand.
Sure.
So I was a little apprehensive. But I said, you know what, let me go check out the space. Heather really pushed, go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so she and I have a mutual friend. Her name is Rachel Downs. She's a realtor. She's amazing.
I know Rachel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You know Rachel. So, Rachel said, JeDonna, let's walk through the space. I trust her. She lives in Ferndale. She knows the area.
Mm-hmm.
And we walked through the space, and I knew immediately that I had to figure it out.
Yeah, you could just feel it. You could feel it in your bones. It was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, the energy in the space, really spoke to me. I know that probably sounds...
You're talking to a yoga teacher, okay? Yeah. So, I'm here. I get it. I get it.
Yep, so the energy of that space, I knew immediately.
Yep.
And I'm a risk taker.
Yep.
And I knew that this was a risk worth taking. So I called my ex-husband, I call him my husband. And Daryl is not a risk taker.
Okay.
He is very risk adverse.
So he's like the yin to your yang, kind of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he balances me out. I always joke and say he's an architect.
Okay.
And I always joke and say, if we were on the edge of a cliff, he would be measuring, okay, I got to figure out how far down, how far, the trajectory, all of the things. And I'm like, hey, I have a big scarf and some pumps. I'm going to make a parachute.
Right.
And I'm going to jump off this cliff. So he was, I called him and I said, I'm walking through the space and it's amazing. And there's storage here and all of the things that I'd be able to have an office and there's a kitchen and da-da-da. And he said, you should go for it. And I said, I'm sorry, what? Who am I talking to?
Mm-hmm.
Because you are not the person that I know.
Right. I was calling you to talk me out of this, and now,
right. Yeah. I really was calling him to have him talk me down.
Uh-huh.
And when he said, well, how much is it? When I started telling him all of the things, it's a triple net lease, I'd have to pay the property taxes and utilities and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure he was going to say, walk away. He was like, no, I think you need to go for it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I just, I called my mom, and my mom is super encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, you can do this. And I was like, Mom, I'm afraid. I mean, it's so expensive. What if I can't do it? And then she said, well, how did you figure out how you could do Livernois? And I said, well, I just sat with a piece of paper and a pencil and literally wrote it all out. And she said, you need to do that. So I grabbed a spiral notebook and I sat for like a week and literally wrote out everything. I wrote out all of my concerns, all the pros, the cons, and literally figured out how, the average dress is $26. How many dresses would I need to sell? I mean, I literally did math.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't look at any profit and loss statements. I literally sat there and did calculations to figure out if I could do this. And I said, okay, I can do this. And I decided to go for it. So we, went back and forth, negotiated the lease and all of that. Moved in March 1st. We had a super aggressive timeline.
So you moved in March 1st of 2020.
We moved into that space on March 1st of 2020.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And so we were, as we're going through, I knew I was going to take it. Rachel drew up the letter of intent and all of that. And then we got, we had to get in there and clean it up and paint it and all of that. So we, got the painter in there and the space was so large. I mean, it was, expensive to have it painted.
Sure.
All of that.
Yeah.
And so we did, we figured all this stuff out while still trying to run the store and pack the store up and all of that. And that's why I said people don't know what goes into doing something like this. They have no idea because I didn't even have an idea. And it was happening, and I was doing it. It was happening to me and I had no clue. Running one business while you're trying to prep this other one. So we got the space ready and we moved in March 1st and we had to be open on March 7th. So, then you're unpacking everything,
right.
Putting it, laying everything out, merchandising, all of that. So we got everything done. The mayor agreed to come in and do a ribbon cutting for us and all of that.
Sure.
So the grand opening was amazing.
Yep.
And then COVID hit, and I started, watching. You're watching the news. You're watching all of this stuff unfold. I'm watching a lot of it on social media. And a friend of mine who works in Lansing came into the store, and she's very thrifty. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Because she's not a person who comes in and she's frivolous and is like, hey, I'm just going to spend $400. And she said, I'm going to buy a $350 gift certificate. And I looked at her, I said, what is going on? Because she's not that person. And she said, you're going to be closed. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, COVID, the governor's going to shut down the whole state. And I said, no, there's no way that people are going to let her. I said, men will lose their minds.
Yep.
They're not going to let her shut the state down.
Yeah.
And
you weren't totally wrong, by the way. You were not.
Right. But it was so funny that's what I said to her.
Yeah.
I said, men. I said, girl, these white men will go crazy. That's what I told her. And she said, and she's white.
Yeah.
And I said, they will go, the white men will go, I said, they will go nuts. And she said, no, it's going to happen. I said, girl, because no one had ever heard of anything like that happen. I said, girl, you sound crazy. Right. Anyway, okay, let me ring you up. And, and we went on. And then, boom, 7 days later, because we were booming, and then business started to trickle.
Okay.
And then one day I was in my shop, and there was not a soul on the street. It was eerie.
So tell me about how you made that, and I'm sorry, my dog is like whining, if you can hear her in the background. She's decided that evidently right now is exactly the time she needs to go outside, so. Yeah, she's like, I've been busy for 45 minutes, so pay attention to me now, thank you. Okay, so she's back outside. So tell me about, like, making that decision to actually close and, like, all of what went into that for you. Like, how did you make that decision? Was it because of what the governor's orders were, or did you decide beforehand? Like, how did that all come to be?
Well, once the governor said, okay, everything is closed, we're shuttering, and we are, and everyone just has to be at home.
Yeah.
I'm in this group of women entrepreneurs, and the name of the group, I don't know if you know Rachel Lutz, who owns the Peacock Room, but
Yep.
Rachel started the group, and it's called Business Bitches Be Brunchin'. That's the name.
Okay, perfect.
And so the other, you know, I think there's one man in the group, but it's mostly women. We were all calling each other, and everyone was sobbing, like, "Oh my God, what is going to happen to our businesses?" And you know, there was so much fear, understandable fear,
sure,
uncertainty, and I did not feel that. I don't know why I didn't feel it. Maybe because I was just too stupid to feel it. That uncertainty, or just too naive to feel it. I mean, it wasn't that they were being irrational, because they certainly weren't. I think I was just kind of, stunned by all of it, because I certainly did not believe that the whole damn world would shut down.
Right.
And so I had this, it's going to be okay. I just kept saying it's going to be okay, until I was home and I opened Facebook and saw that someone that I knew casually had died of COVID. And I was like, what in the world? And then I saw that someone that I really looked up to was young, strong, very active in the community. Margaux Max, he was a business leader, a community activist. I mean, I can't. He had his hands in so many great projects. He was such an amazing human being. That he had died of COVID. Wow. Someone posted, a mutual friend posted, "Rest in peace, Margaux." And I was like, wait. I messaged her. I was like, what's going on? I didn't think COVID, because I'm like, he's super healthy, and it couldn't have been that. And she messaged me back and said he died of COVID. And I was like, wait a minute, Margaux, again, this healthy person. Okay, so I said, there is no way that I can even think about opening a store, navigating this. I don't know how to do pandemic. I'm going to be closed. I don't know. I'll figure it out, because that's literally what I do. Yeah. But I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll just figure it out. And so I, again, my handy dandy spiral notebook, I took to my spiral notebook, and I just started writing down, we could do this, we could do that. And I said, I'm going to do the lives. And so the first one I did from my dining room, and I just went to my Facebook page just to check in with people. I'm not trying to sell you anything, guys. I'm just checking on you. Comment. Are you okay? How are you doing? How are your families doing? And people were commenting there, "Oh my God, we're so glad to see your face, JeDonna. We need, we just need this light that you make us laugh." And so I did a couple of just check-ins like that. Then people were like, "Why don't you, can you sell us some stuff? We need to shop. We need, we need some laughter. We need some light." And I was like, no, because I just didn't feel like it. I mean, I'm like watching the obituaries on Facebook every day. I can't do it. I was like, I cannot. No, I can't. And I felt like it would be disrespectful. Sure. Also,
and just for a timing purpose, is this still like March, or have we now moved into like April at this point?
This was in March.
This is still in March. Okay, so still in March. Okay.
This is in March.
Yep.
So then around in April, that's my birthday in April. Okay. People were like, why don't you do something like, why don't you just do like a little roundup for your birthday on Facebook and ask people to join you? And I just didn't feel, I couldn't do it. I could not find any joy at that time. It's just, there was just so much sadness. It was so dark. And people just kept pushing. Once the governor said that we could go into our shops, you can go and get stuff, but you can't be, we still could be open. But if you need to go get supplies or whatever. People were like, hey, why don't you, people were really messaging me like every day. JeDonna, sell us stuff. So I just went to the store and grabbed a few pieces of jewelry and some handbags, and I just did a Facebook Live from my bedroom. And people went crazy. They just were like buying everything. And I was like, what is going on? And they're like, we still want to shop. So I was like, what? They're like, girl, we miss you. We miss shopping. So I was like, okay, people still want to shop. Okay, I need to figure this out. So once we could get back into the store, I just went and I said, okay, I'm going to do a Facebook Live because I had been doing Facebook Lives we had been doing Facebook Lives for about 3 years when we were on Livernois.
Mm-hmm.
But we just did it differently. We had just a rolling rack. We had a rolling rack, and we would hang the items, and each item would be priced and numbered, kind of like QVC. And I'd hold the items up and say, okay, this is item number 1. It's a Calvin Klein dress. It's a size 6. And da-da-da. And I might talk a little bit about this would be cute with the denim jacket over the top. And then I'd hang it back up. And people would type into the comments, if they wanted it or whatever.
Okay.
And we'd be writing the comments, writing it down in a little, journal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just real, random.
Yeah.
And then we put the things on hold, and people would come in and try them on the next day because, of course, we were open and, there was no pandemic. That's how we did it on Livernois. So then I said, okay, people can't come in and try the stuff on. I can't put it on hot. Okay, what am I going to do? And then, late one night, everybody was asleep. I'm just awake with my thoughts. Mm-hmm. And it just came to me, why don't you just, try all the stuff on mannequins?
Mm-hmm.
Just, and I'm having this internal dialogue, but I don't have mannequins in every size. And then, my mind is buy some more mannequins. So then I'm up online finding, I needed 2 plus size mannequins. So then I, told my ex-husband, I said, I told him what I was going to do. And he was like, that's a great idea, but, how's it going to work? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, sorry. Look, I have crazy ideas. Just go with it. Mm-hmm. And so I took all the mannequins. I went over to the shop, lined all the mannequins up, kind of dressed them, kind of walked myself through what this would look like. And then I had a friend who was helping me too, so she printed the numbers and all of that. And so we just rolled it out like that. And the first one that we did, I think, was 3 hours long. And I couldn't believe it. People sat and watched for 3 hours. It was crazy. It was 11 o'clock at night. People were still on. But it just took off. And then we just kept refining pieces of it.
Okay.
And it just got smoother and smoother and better. But people loved it. They're like, this is brilliant. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to worry about, so that mannequin, I know that mannequin is my size, so all I have to do when I'm watching the live is pay attention to that particular mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we already had, when I opened the shop, each mannequin, I had this crazy idea, each mannequin has to have a name.
Okay.
People come in and, they see, oh, okay, that's on Margaux, it's on Max. So each of them had names, and then I have a friend who does embroidery, so she made little name tags for each mannequin.
Oh, perfect.
And so it just became a whole thing.
Yeah.
Of having, being able to showcase clothing from size 0 up to size, mainly on the live we carry up to 26W, but on the live we usually go up to size 22W.
Okay.
Being able to showcase those pieces so that people can shop safely. So once the numbers started going down, people were like, so are you going to reopen?
Yeah.
But, and I said no, because I have an autoimmune disorder called sarcoidosis.
Okay.
And what that is, it's a lung disorder that causes scar tissue on your lungs and your lymph node. And I've had pneumonia, I've had bronchitis multiple times, and it isn't fun.
Right.
And I knew that if I developed COVID, the chances of me surviving were, especially with healthy people like Marlo dying, that I would be in trouble.
Sure.
And I just it was a risk I was not willing to take.
Yeah.
I have an 80-year-old mother who has COPD and Parkinson's. I didn't see my mother for an entire year. I didn't go to her house. I would call. Sometimes I pull up in her driveway and just blow the horn and come out, Mom, throw your hand up so that I can see your face. That's it. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. And that's how seriously I took it. And people were who came to my door, knocking on the door, some beating on the door. Why don't you reopen? This woman said, I want this woman and her husband, they came to the door, and she was like, I'm looking for a coat, and I can't do it on Facebook. And I said, I understand. I totally get it. But I am not willing to risk my life, your life, my daughter, my mother, or anyone else's health and safety for you to have a cute coat.
Right.
I get it. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
And I think people thought I was a combination of brave and crazy, and I kind of agree with that.
Sure.
But I was adamant. This is unprecedented. This is something we've never seen in our lifetimes. There was no guidebook, manual, or anything for how to navigate this thing. But my instincts told me that it was the right thing to do. I believe that people's lives are more important than money.
Yeah.
I believe that we will get on the other side of this when it happens. Everybody, I don't think we're ever going to go back to quote unquote normal. People, I can't wait to get back to normal. Normal wasn't that great because we were running around like crazy people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to go.
Yep.
Saying yes to everything.
Yep.
Not saying no, feeling guilty if you said no.
Mm-hmm.
And this is forced us to slow down, to really assess and take inventory of what's important to us. I know it has for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's brought me much closer to my family. There are days where I'm like, y'all get on my nerves, but I'm stuck here with y'all. But it's really made people stop and think.
Yeah.
And so even with my business, it's made me much more deliberate in how I do things. And I feel like it's made me stronger as a business person because I'm standing firm in my conviction that this is the right thing to do.
Yep.
And I've said to multiple people who have come to my door or sent me messages, like I had a fellow entrepreneur in Ferndale post on my Instagram, are you ever going to reopen? And I took that so personally, and I probably shouldn't have. I got my feelings about it. And I said, that's a ridiculous question. Do you really think that I opened, my store in this expensive-ass space?
Right.
Just to be closed. I'm not like some kind of eccentric person who just has money to shred, because I'm basically shredding money at this point.
Sure.
But it's because my sales are down 40%. And I keep telling people 40% is close to 50. It's only 10% away. I'm losing money.
Mm-hmm.
But people's lives are more important than money.
Yeah.
And I would never forgive myself if somebody got COVID at my store and died.
Yeah.
I would not be able to live with that.
Yeah.
And that, or even, made their child sick, or, you got long haulers, people who have, now they didn't have lung issues. They have lung issues and heart issues and all these health issues that they did not have before because they had COVID. Even though they survived it, they're never going to be the same.
Right.
I would not be able to live with myself.
Right.
And so that's why I made the decision to remain closed. And I kept telling people, the customer, listen, dead people make horrible customers. Sick people make horrible customers.
Right.
There are things more important to me than money. I can't emphasize that enough. And so that's kind of where I lived. And I just kept saying that. And then I just, went to Canva and my graphic design program and created a couple posters and put them in the window so that people would know and understand this is why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you, but I care about you.
Right.
And I don't want people to be sick. I don't want people to die. I don't want anybody else going through this. My manicurist, she lost her father and her stepmother.
Ugh.
I have a girlfriend who lost her mother, her grandmother, and an aunt.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who taught at my daughter's school who lost her son. I knew Alexander. I watched this kid grow up.
Mm-hmm.
A man who lived next door to me when I lived in Detroit, when I was pregnant with my daughter, she's 22 now, he would come over and mow our lawn because we were young working people.
Right.
We were at home all the time. Mr. Lee, nice. Oh my God, he was such a good man. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these people, you saw these pictures on Belle Isle, this memorial of people who died of COVID, and people are still acting like, hey, you should just be open because I need a blouse. I'm like, yeah, no.
Right.
And after it really helped me to solidify how I'm going to do business moving forward, how I can feel completely comfortable telling people no.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're a business owner, you do not have to let people run all over you to stay in business. JeDonna, it's not as easy. But I'm in another group of, it's a statewide group of entrepreneurs, and I said, when the mass debate began, one person on the other side of the state, this woman said, I said, it's not that difficult. It's no different than asking for ID with the credit card, or any other policy that you have in your store. You're not, the employees shouldn't have to enforce it. I said, the employees don't let people steal.
Right.
If you sell computers, employees not gonna let somebody at Micro Center walk up and just grab a MacBook and walk out. They would say, excuse me, sir, or ma'am.
Right.
How's that any different?
Right.
And they're like, well, people shouldn't have to fight. No, I'm not suggesting that you should chase a shoplifter.
Sure.
You're definitely not going to just let them walk out.
Right.
And so you enforce other policies, you can enforce this too. And if you don't want to enforce the policy, then maybe you should be like me and be closed, because you really need to think about how you can keep your staff safe. People deserve to be safe when they go to work. And I understand then the shooting happened at the Dollar Tree or Dollar Store or whatever in Flint, and then people's minds went there. People will come in just shooting everybody. And people just got kind of hysterical. And I said, well, the way that I see it, if people don't want to follow the policies of my, don't come here. That's all there is to it. And even, as I moved into now, being open by appointment only, I'm unapologetic. Yeah. You have to text them over a copy of your vaccination card. You know the drill.
Yeah.
You came into the store.
Yeah.
And it's not up for discussion. It just isn't. This is a global pandemic. It's not something that any of us has control over. We didn't start it. We all wish we could stop it. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to do anything other than try to do my best to keep people safe. And this is the best way that I can think to do it. So as, when they say, okay, no, people don't need to wear masks anymore. We don't need to social distance anymore. Everything is open. We're free. And people were, started calling me, and my phone started ringing off the hook. So are you going to reopen? I was like, no, because nothing's changed. Because they told you don't have to wear a mask anymore and all of this other stuff. People are going to start dying again because the pandemic is not gone. Right. There's just an immense amount of pressure on the governor. I mean, they tried to kill the woman. They tried to kidnap her. I get it. I get why she did what she did. And then the CDC, they want things to return to normal. The economy is garbage. I mean, there's just so many issues, but they're all tied up in they're tied up in politics. I'm just going to put that on both sides. Yeah, and sure. I love my Democratic people, but I get it. And I get why the governor had to do what she had to do, but that has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I still believe this is COVID is still out there. It's still killing people. People are still being hospitalized every day, and I am not willing to take that kind of chance. Yeah. These types of chances. Not yet. Now, if I see that the numbers are people are starting to, okay, all right, the FDA has approved the vaccines, let's go ahead and get vaccinated, and people are being more thoughtful and careful, and the numbers look better, then I'll entertain, reopening. And we've been having, a conversation for the last few days about perhaps reopening Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But it would not be a, hey, we're open.
Right.
Because I was at House of Watch Bands in Southfield. They're open. They have a sign on their, a sidewalk sign, a sandwich sign on the sidewalk in front of the store that says, anyone entering in this establishment must wear a mask. There's a sign on the door. They have a doorbell. They only allow 2 people in the store at a time. Mm-hmm. They're being extremely careful. Mm-hmm. When you go to their Google page, of course, you get some people who are, oh my God, it's overreach and my rights. And, they're going overboard. And I'm like, they're not going overboard. More than 500,000 people have died. We should all be frightened. We should all be scared as hell of anything that's killed this many people in that short period of time. Mm-hmm. We should be terrified. Mm-hmm. So if I do reopen, it will be, so I'll have a doorbell. There will be a sign in the window and a sign, my sandwich sign, masks are required here. We'll do all the things. Social distance, the barriers on the counter, all of the protocols will be followed. Sure. And we'll limit the number of people who are in the store if we decide to reopen. And if things aren't crazy, I mean, they're saying it's going to get crazier as we go into fall because now the kids will be back at school and it'll be spreading like wildfire. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. If things get worse, we'll sit back and wait until January. Sure. There's a lot fewer people out. Yeah. And will that impact my bottom line? Of course it will. Sure. But again, I feel like I have to do what I have to do. This is just where we are. It's where we are. It wasn't, I didn't choose this. This is not a great business model. Right. But I feel like I have a responsibility as a business owner, as a human being, to look out for my fellow man and woman. Yeah. That I feel like that responsibility, my responsibility to trying to be a decent person is greater than my responsibility to trying to be a successful business person, if that makes sense. Absolutely. Is that, so I have gotten the impression from you, and I know we've only, chatted a couple of times and met in person, twice, but in my experience with you and everything that, from Facebook and everything like that, you strike me as a person who is confident in their convictions. Would that be a fair assessment to make of you? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. How did you become that way, or have you always been that way? Because there are business owners who are not as strong in their convictions as you, and I think one of the things that sets you apart, quite frankly, made me want to shop with your store is the way that you are unapologetic in your boundaries and what you would and would not tolerate within your retail space. So was that something that, did you go through some maybe not so great experiences that informed that, that personality trait of yours, or have you always sort of been like this? That's you asked great questions. That's a great question. Thank you. And thank you for the compliments too. Yeah. You know what? I've pretty much always been this way. Okay. I have to laugh because we do a Facebook Live on Thursdays and Fridays, as you know, and we have guest co-hosts. And the last live on last Thursday, my mom, who's 80, she guest co-hosted, and one of the comments someone typed and asked her, we call her nickname is Mamacita. We call her Mamacita. Everyone calls her Mamacita. Okay. So someone said, "Hey, Mamacita, has JeDonna always been like this fierce person?" And my mom's like, always. She came right with the raised in hell. Sure. But my parents, I don't know if they instilled in me or it was just me watching. We had this foundation of community and community support, right? So I remember growing up, a family a few doors down from us had been evicted, and all of their belongings were in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 6 of us. I have 6 brothers. One brother, my grandmother raised, so there were 6 of us. My mother sat us down on the curb and said, "Watch their stuff." We were kids. Watch their stuff while I go and get bags and things to gather these people's things.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sitting there on the street, watching this stuff,
mm-hmm.
For these people, so that their belongings weren't taken.
Sure.
My parents taught us to care about other people,
mm-hmm.
and it does not cost you anything to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
It does not cost you because it costs more to be unkind. And I'm not talking, but we're not talking about letting people run over you. We're taught to set boundaries. One of the things that I learned early on, and I was just reading something about this, and it really it resonated so deeply. One of the things that I learned early on was that in this world, people have will have expectations of me, for good or for bad, as a Black person,
mm-hmm.
as a Black female person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So as a Black woman, I understand, I understood as a Black child, as a Black girl, I dealt with a lot of racism growing up.
Mm-hmm.
My family integrated the neighborhood that we lived in 1969. We got chased home every single day from school. The kids in our neighborhood hated us because we were Black. We lived across the street from the school, so we didn't have far to run. That was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But after we got tired of running, and my parents were not those parents who said, "Beat them up." I had friends who grew up, and their parents said, "If somebody beats you up, and if you don't fight back, when you get home, I'm giving it to you." My parents were not those people. Sure. But after we got tired and on our own, we were like, you know what? We're not taking any more of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we started to fight back. I, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, I had teachers tell me I was worthless. You wouldn't amount to anything. I heard that from elementary school all the way through high school, that I was worthless, that I was from white teachers.
What?
That I wouldn't amount to anything. I had a teacher tell me I was ugly. I had a teacher tell me I was stupid.
Oh my God.
But I did not, where a lot of children, a lot of young people that would have crushed them,
mm-hmm.
Instead, I would say, "No, you're stupid." Because an adult tells a child they're stupid, is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up in the principal's office,
mm-hmm.
and my mother would have to come to the school.
Sure.
When my mother, would show up, they thought that she'd show up and put me in my place because I was a kid.
Right.
And my mother would instead put them in their places.
Sure.
So I learned early on to fight for myself, stand up for myself, to speak up for myself and others.
And it sounds like you had a strong female role model in your mother to show you that as well, like modeling that for you. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And my mother was a young parent.
Mm-hmm.
My mother got married when she was 15 years old, because back then that's what people did.
Right.
And but she was very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents taught us to work hard, and the old school American dream. If you work hard, you can make it. But there was not all this fairy dust sprinkled on that. They also were like, "But I want you to know you're going to have to work 10 times as hard as your white peers."
Right.
Because there are people who are not going to trust you or believe in you because you're Black, because of your Black skin. So I need you to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, I earned everything that I have. I earned.
Mm-hmm.
I worked my behind off to get to where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't let anybody take that away from me or discount it.
Yeah.
And I don't. I try to be fair with people, and the only way that this can work is if you're fair with me too.
Sure.
And that's one of the. I think that is something that I learned at both of my parents' knee.
Okay.
To be honest, operate with integrity, try to be a decent human being, but you don't have to let the other stuff sort itself out. That should be enough. But when it is not, when someone challenges you, one of the things that my mother and father said to me all the time growing up, the only thing you have in this world is your name, your word.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have money. You can lose money.
Mm-hmm.
But you have your integrity and your word, and people know that if you say it, you're going to do it. They can set their watch by it. If you say that you're going to be there at 6 o'clock, they know you're going to be there at 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is you say you're going to do it. Then that will take you further than anything else. Mm-hmm. And so I try to have a good product in the store. I try to have, provide great customer service, be honest with people, all of those different things. Mm-hmm. And if I'm doing all of that, then that needs to be enough. And so people don't then get to mistreat me.
Yeah.
People believe, so many people believe, black people and white people, male and female, people of all genders and races, believe that people in service deserve to be treated poorly. Mm. If you're a manicurist, if you're a hairstylist, if you're a wait person, if you're a busboy, if you're a domestic, if you clean houses, if you clean hotel rooms, mm-hmm. that you deserve to be treated poorly. Mm-hmm. And I just know that is not true. My mm-hmm. mother worked off and on as a domestic, cleaning people's houses while we were in high school and so forth. And she took a lot of pride in her work. Mm-hmm. And she taught us. She would take me with her. She taught me how to clean.
Yeah.
And we were just taught there's no shame in working hard.
Yeah.
There's only shame in being in not working hard and taking from people. Mm-hmm. There's no shame. Mm-hmm. And I know how hard I've worked to build this, and I'm not going to let anybody knock me down or mistreat me because I am providing a service. Mm-hmm. It's a service that I'm providing. Mm-hmm. I'm a student of my business. I've been reading Vogue and 17 and Glamour since I was 14 years old. Right. I pick up all the trade magazines and look and check out all the styles. I'm always checking out the trends. I've always done that. Mm-hmm. It's something that I've always loved, and so I try to know my business and understand what looks good on people and, mm-hmm. and styles and all of those different things. So I don't want someone coming in acting like this is the Salvation Army, because it isn't.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I noticed that sets your shop apart, just in my, experience with you, is you're so good at finding I told you I had full intentions of buying one dress. I left with 9 when I came to your store because you just kept bringing me dresses that looked so good on me. And I was like, well, it's $30. I can't not get this. You know what I mean? It adds up quick. So I'm curious, obviously you're very informed of, reading Vogue and Elle and all of these high fashion magazines. Do you notice that there's a lag in some of those trends, either in Michigan or in the space that you're working in, which is I don't know how to say this appropriately, so please correct my language, but would it be in the resale space? Would that be a fair way to categorize it? Or how would you categorize your store and Okay.
Yeah, we're resale. When I first opened the store and people mm-hmm. would say it's a resale shop, mm-hmm. I would get really insulted. Wait a minute. Because that sounded so negative.
Yeah.
I said, no, we offer previously loved clothing and accessories, Mm-hmm. But we certainly are resale.
Sure.
And yes, I do think that there is. You walk into most resale stores.
Yeah.
Like I said, your Salvation Armies and all that. You know, it's a hodgepodge of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But you walk into most retail stores, resale stores, where the selection is, what's the word I'm looking for? Curated.
Like curated, yeah.
Yeah, where it's a curated selection. But I'm looking at, like, for example, when I walk into, you know, I've been to Style Mentor and Regenerations in my competition, right?
Sure.
To see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I always zero in on the plus size section because that's going to tell the real story.
Mm-hmm.
Because people believe that women who are above a size 14, hey, they can just wear muumuus, okay? And, you know, they can just wear crap. And so that's where the style resides to me. That tells the real story. If you walk into a store's a resale store, any store, but you walk into any stores, even on the retail side, and you go to the plus size section and they have, you know, 6 dresses and they're all ugly, that tells they don't value plus size women, which is a large segment of the population, which is a larger segment of the population than, you know, designers will lead you to believe. And so that's one of the areas that I take great pride in focusing on. Bringing style, helping plus size women understand. Now, you know, you don't have to look dowdy. I had one of my clients today who wears like a size 22, 24 text me this morning. She said, I got up this morning, went to my closet, and put on this dress that I bought from you that I have never worn. And she was like, girl, you know, that's like girl with 5 exclamation points.
Right.
Oh my God. That's the stuff I live for. When, and this woman, her son passed away last year. He didn't pass from COVID. He had cancer.
Okay.
So she's going through, you know, this morning. She's like, no, Justin was like 27.
Yeah.
He was young.
Yeah.
And when she sends me pictures of her at work in her outfit, and she's smiling and telling me how many compliments she receives, it almost brings me to tears. Because that is not how society expects for overweight women to feel. We're not told that we can feel that way. We're not supposed to feel beautiful. We're not supposed to be taking mirror selfies. You know what I'm saying? We're not supposed to be taking that's not the best. We're not the bathroom selfie crowd. But we are at Margaux Max. Everybody, you know, from the size 0 women, I've had women who wear size 2. I had a client who wears size 2 who said, I'm so glad I found you because I literally cannot fit anything in the stores. And she said, I go to the stores and shop. She said, I even tried TJ Maxx because there aren't quite as many people going into the fitting room there. And I go and everything I try on is too big. And then I go and take it back to the attendant and I get, you couldn't fit any of them? And she said, I go sit in my car and cry. Yeah. Because it makes me feel so horrible. Yeah. And so the walk of shame back to the fitting room attendant to take stuff back, I wanted to remove all of that. So I wanted to make sure that things are on trend. I sit and study. I just looked up, you know, the trends for fall 2021. You know, sequins, denim on denim, you know, plaid, sweater vest, those crazy looking ski sweaters. I try to look at all the trends, and then I pull forward the things that I already have because I'm buying the stuff because I like it. And I generally will have the trends when the newsprint. But I was in Chicago and I saw newsprint in Chicago ahead of, you know, the designers showing it. And so we had a ton of newsprint in the shop. Newsprint bags, blazers, all kinds of things. And then, boom, everybody started showing newsprint. And my clients were like, what is happening? Like, a month ago. I said, I pay attention to the trends. And people just don't do that. And I think because I'm, you know, the owner, a fashion. Okay, I love fashion. I love everything about it. I always have. When I was in elementary school, I would do a color palette with my crayons so that I could go shopping for tights.
Yep.
That's the stuff that I did. And my mother was like, what is this kid doing? But she'd take me to Lady Orvan's downtown so that I could find I need these mustard tights. I need this eggplant. I need this. And I would be calling them whatever the colors were called in the Crayola crayon box. I didn't think it's purple. They called it eggplant in the Crayola box. I'd be like, ma'am, do you have this eggplant? Do you have this cadet blue? And my mother would be like, cadet blue? It's blue is gray. It's cadet blue, Mom. You have cadet blue. I've always been that person. And so when I look at, regenerations, they only buy from people if it's within the last season or whatever. As you know, I don't care as much about what season it's from or how old it is as much as I care about the style. Is this a great style that will work on somebody? The fabric. Is this a fabric that will work on someone? Is this a print that will work on somebody? Do I like it? And can I mix it with something else and make it look cool? That's what I care about. And I think that the other places they care about, because I don't care I love Louis Vuitton and all of that. I don't care that much about if it's Gucci or if it's, really high end. It doesn't have to be Tracy Reese. I love Tracy Reese. It doesn't have to be Tracy Reese. It doesn't have to be Gucci. It doesn't have to be Valentino. I love Diane von Furstenberg. Love her stuff. But it doesn't have to be Diane von Furstenberg. Can it be something from Kmart that we can make look like Diane von Furstenberg? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I have knowing fabrics and all of that, being able to look at something. I can see someone wearing something, and I'm like, oh, that's Casper, or that's whatever. Understanding that ready to wear, a good piece of ready to wear, you can mix it up. Understanding that your high end stuff, you can mix it with your cheap and cheerful stuff. You can have a piece from Rainbow because Rainbow, people sleep on Rainbow, girl. Rainbow sleep on trend. I don't know why people sleep on Rainbow. They stay. If you want to know what's in, walk into Rainbow.
Okay.
Okay. Rainbow.
That's your fast fashion store, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Ashley Stewart, they're very trendy. I have a lot of plus size clients, especially Black women, who won't shop at Ashley Stewart because they are really trendy. And I'll say, especially when I'm first meeting someone, like, what size are you wearing at Ashley Stewart? Oh, no, I don't shop at Ashley Stewart. I say, oh, okay. But they are always on trend. So I will pop into these little stores. I can't wear anything in the stores just to see what they're showing because their buyers are usually on trend. Making sure they're usually showing the trend. Yeah. And, when all the chain dresses and all that came back, Ashley Stewart was showing all that stuff. Rainbow showing all that stuff. And so, by what they're showing. And so I'll pick up a magazine and look, and sure enough, boom, it's whatever they're showing. So I think that, when I get the question about what's your competition, and things like that, I always come with a kind of crazy answer. Nobody. Yeah. Everybody has competition. Like, because I'm my secret weapon. I'm the secret sauce at Margaux Max. Yeah. I have brought a level of customer service to resale that you don't even see in regular retail anymore. Yeah. You walk into Macy's, there's nobody there to help you. Yeah. And if they are there, they aren't knowledgeable. Right. Unless you have those old school people who have been there. I was dating a guy, and we were going to an event, and I said, you have to wear a suit because you just can't go to something with me looking crazy. So, right. So he was like, I don't own a suit. I said, okay, let's go buy a suit. And he thought I was going to take him to Neiman Marcus and, fleece them. No, we could go to JCPenney. So we ended up going to JCPenney, and we're in the suit department, and he was going to the Michael Strahan, and he wasn't a big guy. Okay. I was like, that's going to be too big for you because Michael Strahan is, because it's built for big guys, but Michael Strahan is a big guy. So we go over to, Jay Ferrer, and I'm like, okay, this is the stuff that will work for you. And so I, pick out a suit, and, and I put the jacket on him, and I'm like, okay, taking off the shoulders and all that. This older gentleman comes over, and he was like, I I don't think you need any help. Like, what does she do? Who is she? Is this your stylist? And the guy was like, no, that's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
He said, well, what do you do? And I told him. And he said, yeah, because she really knows. She's boxing the shoulders. She's doing all the stuff that I would do. I told him about the sleeve length because he was buying stuff that's too big. Nope, that's too big.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up with a perfect fit on the suit. But it's understanding how things fit, paying attention. I read GQ too. I know how men's suits are supposed to fit too. But just paying attention to fashion and paying attention to styles and paying attention to fabric and what looks good on people and not getting caught up in, this is from J.C. Penney, because when you're wearing it, nobody knows unless you pull the tag out and show them. Nobody cares if it's from Rainbow. If you look put together, nobody cares.
Right.
And that's the point. You were looking fabulous, absolutely gorgeous at your event at the temple, and nobody knew that your dress was from Margaux Max and that it was less than $40.
Well, yes, they did because I told them all, but I understand the point of what you're saying.
I love it.
Yeah, sorry.
But you know what? That's my point, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look amazing and not spend a lot of money, but I think that resale stores a lot of them are just about to turn. Either, they want to mark it down so that it turns, or they're about being high end and carrying the designer brands, and they're not really focused in on providing a high level of customer service and making sure that everything is on trend and all of that. They're just trying to make sure it has to be on trend because it's from it's less than a year old. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. JeDonna, I want to be respectful of your time. I feel like I could talk to you for another 3 hours, but we're getting up to that hour mark. So I just want to wrap up with one last question, if I could, which is, what is your vision for the future of Margaux and Max? I know that you touched on the fact that you don't think we're getting out of this pandemic anytime soon. But if we could take like a bird's eye view of the next 5 to 10 years. What do you see happening with your store, and what is the legacy that you would like to leave in Ferndale and beyond?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, while I don't think that I don't think that COVID's ever going away. Sure. I think that we are going to be in some form of, it's here, and it's here to stay. So I think that it's going to look shopping will look a lot different. I think if people are being careful. For me, I think that I just think Michael Jackson was onto something with the mask. We should have had one glove. We should have had two gloves.
Sure.
But I think he was onto something.
Yeah.
So I think that we do a lot of events. We have done a lot of events in the past at Margaux Max. We had started before we moved to the Livernois location. We had started, the 9 Mile location. We had started something called Sister Love. And what Sister Love a client reached out to me and expressed that she knew that another client was going through a hard time. This woman had lost her job, and her mother had Alzheimer's, and she was going to caregiving and really was in a bad place. And so we came together, strangers and friends, and had a surprise party for her at the shop. I posted it on Facebook, and I didn't, but I excluded her from the post. And people showed up. People she didn't even know. They brought gift cards, and they brought food, and it was so nice. Gas cards, cards with money in it. And so she walked in, and she thought that she was just coming to help us pack up to the store. And all these people were there. They were like, surprise! And she just began to sob. And people heard about this, and then I just started getting all these messages in my inbox. Oh, this person needs some help. This person's going to. So we had started to build this platform. We were going to do yoga classes in the back of the, and I know that's near and dear to your heart, of the top. And we were going to make it so that, people could pay what they could afford, type of thing. We're going to do that and do these sister love events on a regular basis. And then boom, COVID hit and it all blew up.
Sure.
And so that's one of the things that is important to me. That's my legacy. Margaux Max is not just about clothes. It's not about stuff. It's about how people feel. It's about how people feel in the space. That's why and I know the store looks crazy when it looks so much better because I went through and organized so much stuff. but because we're closed, I just had so much stuff around. But I started, like opening up the space and looking at going into fall. But it's about how people feel. It's about a feeling. It's about everybody feeling valued, everyone feeling beautiful, everybody feeling included, no matter what their race, creed, color, any of that, sexual orientation, sexual identity, no matter your socioeconomic status. So as we look at moving forward, I have to bring some of those pieces back in, figure out how we can still provide this gathering space. When we were at Livernois, there were people who come to the store every Friday. We dubbed them the Friday Night Gang. Every Friday. They would come after work and shut the place down. We closed at 9 o'clock. They'd be walking out with me. They'd say, come on, JeDonna, let's go out and get a drink. That space the store became a gathering space for people, where people would just come and, I kid you not, my mother was in the store, she witnessed this, she was like, this is amazing. People would just come and sit down, and they're just updating their Facebook, and they're just hanging out, having a glass of wine.
Okay.
And they may shop or not, it's fine, but it became a gathering space for people, a happy space for people. I had a client who was going through a hard time, and she was like, I just wanted to come in, and she was like, can I come and help you with stuff? I just need your energy. I just need that around me right now. I think we need that. Yeah. We need community right now. We need love right now. We need support right now. People need to be able to, those of us who are the strong ones, need to have a safe space to not be strong. Yeah. We need to have a space to cry. We need to have a space to mourn. There's been a lot of loss. Businesses, loved ones, a lot of loss. And so we need to have that space. I want to continue to be that for people. I want to continue to be something different for people, a different experience in shopping. Again, not about stuff, about community, about friendship, about camaraderie, about love, about light. I want to be that. And I want to continue, whether I'm there or not. If I'm not physically there, I want to be with people who can be that. When I had my niece working with me for a short time, and we look a lot alike. People would come in and think she was me and start talking to her, and she'd be like, I'm not JeDonna. But people would say to me, your niece was here, your daughter was here. And I have clients who, in India, if my daughter isn't there, they're like, where's India? And I'm like, I can help you, right? But because they got that energy from me, that they know how to make people feel the same way, make people feel special, make people feel loved, make people feel cared about. I think that's the legacy of Margaux Max. This is, we're kind of stewards of all things fine and dandy, and that encompasses love and light and caring and friendship. And so that will never go away because it's baked in. It's something organic. People have come into that space and walked away. Strangers, the Friday Night Gang, none of those women knew each other. And now they're all friends. They go and do things together. It's crazy. And there are people of all hues. That's one of the things I love about this business. When we were in Grosse Pointe, we were on a second floor. We kept the door locked because we were on Mac. And here's my thing. I grew up in Detroit. It takes a lot to scare me, but I'm also not stupid. And so I know if you have a store on the second floor, the women are up changing their clothes and all of that. If someone had
Mm-hmm.
Because you couldn't hear them coming in from the street, so we kept the door locked, and there was a sign on the door that said "Call for entry."
Mm-hmm.
This woman called. I'm downstairs. A client said, "I'll go let her in." She went and let her in. The lady came up. She was an older white woman, and all these women were there shopping. Black women, white women. Everybody was talking, drinking wine. And so she said, "Did I walk into some type of family gathering?" And I said, "No." And she was like, "Everybody, but all these people are just talking like they know each other." I said, "They all met here." And she was like, "What? Well, what?" I mean, it was just the look on her face. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because that type of community we don't have with one another anymore. And it's unfortunate. It seemed foreign to her. And now she's a regular client.
Right.
But in that moment, she was like frozen, just standing there like, what have I walked into?
Mm-hmm.
And so people walk in, we say, "Hi, how are you? Welcome to Margaux Max," and show them around and make them feel welcome. That when people say retail is dead, no, retail's not dead. Bad retail is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so that the days of people are just, I'm just going to go to online. People miss the touch.
Yeah.
They miss touching fabric. They miss being touched by people. They miss all of it.
Right.
Before COVID, we were huggers. People would come in. People still, a lady came in and bought a dress for her son's wedding. And when she left, she said, "I hate that I can't hug you."
Yeah.
I hate COVID. I hate that I just want to hug you.
Yeah.
This made me feel so good today. That's what I want. That's the legacy. Yeah. I want every person to walk out of there thinking, "Dang, I wish I could hug her. I'm going to give you a fist bump, but I wish it could be a hug." Because before COVID, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. I hugged every single client. "Can I hug you? Can I give you a hug?" Before they left. Mm-hmm. I left you walked out with some fab and a hug. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I want. To feel, even if you can't get that physical hug, I want you to feel that warmth. And that's what brings people back. People they come to my Facebook page every week and shop. And they can go anywhere and be spending their money anywhere. They're coming back as much for the warmth and the love as they are for the clothing. And that, if I've done that, I've done my job.
You just wrote this article for me. Thank you so much. I'm just going to transcribe all of your words and it will be amazing.